The University of Nairobi UON is set to launch the inaugural African Center for the Study of the United States of America in the continent, setting stage for more in-depth analysis of the North-South relations in the now more globalized world. The two-day event is slated for next week on November 10th and November 11th at the Chandaria Auditorium in the main campus.
It's very important to have this conversation regarding the launch of the Africa Center for the Study of United States of America, which is scheduled for 10th and 11th of this month. The center will be domiciled in my department, although it will cater for the University of Nairobi fraternity.
Moreover, the center will also serve as a rich definitive hub for African-generated knowledge by the academia to improve bilateral relations between Kenya and the US, besides adding the impetus to multilateralism to promote integration in the region and across the world in pursuit to improve the diplomatic relations between Kenya and the United States of America.
Hey! Habari zenu!
SCSUS will be domiciled under the Department of Diplomacy and International Studies at the University of Nairobi, chaired by Dr. Patrick Mudhengi Maluki.
Core business of the center is research, conducting academic programs. We will engage in generation of necessary data and information that can service business community, it can service international organizations, it can service scholars all over the world. As you all know, for research, we need data. And one of the challenges in research is availability of data.
Speaking in an exclusive interview with The Informer, Maluki said the center will foster dynamism in all facets of engagements between the two countries and people-to-people relations.
In the sense that the United States of America is composed of different communities, different cultures, and they have actually confluenced in a way that it has become homogeneous society. So we want to know the culture of the US, we want to know the literature, we want to know education programs, developments, aspects, so that there is like a one-stop shop for anyone who wants to get information about the United States of America.
The relationship between Kenya and US dates back in 1964 and cuts across educational and cultural exchange, membership in international organizations, bilateral representation, security relationship, foreign assistance, bilateral economic relations, and the attainment of the independence from the United Kingdom in December 1963, and strengthened after Kenya's 2002 democratic transition and subsequent improvements in civil liberties.
The university fraternity and Kenyans to understand this country, how it is structured, how it operates, and how it manages to actually leverage on technology, politics, economics, and other aspects of the United States.
Additionally, Kenya hosts the largest United Nations mission in Africa in Nairobi.
One of the major programs that we are going to initiate after the launch is what we are calling the Nairobi City Diplomacy. Nairobi City Diplomacy is a concept or a project based on our understanding that the city of Nairobi is one of the three UN cities. What I mean is that it's one of the cities where the United Nations has its headquarters. The others are like Geneva and New York. Of course, Vienna there is, but basically Nairobi is part of this team of cities, and there are very few, and it's only one in the entire developing world. So with the Center for the Study of United States of America and leveraging on the sister cities international linkages, we want to improve the status of the city of Nairobi.
Among those expected to attend include members of the various diplomatic corps led by the US Ambassador to Kenya, Her Excellency Margaret Cushing Whiteman, popularly known as Meg Whiteman, among others. Also, local leaders led by government officials are also expected to grace the occasion. Last year, foreign visitor arrivals stood at 870,467, with 19,053 visitors transiting to 2.19% coming to Kenya for educational purposes, and only 1% came for medical treatment. USA topped the list as the main tourist source for Kenya with 136,981, followed by Uganda at 80,067 and Tanzania 74,051 respectively in the period between January to December 2021.
And so there is a lot of interest, meaning information has been lacking, and the center will be a source of information. It will leverage Kenya's status with regard to also creating linkages with the US companies, US organizations, and of course it will attract investment and tourism, because the more we create knowledge and awareness, the better Kenya will be understood.
Tourism industry recorded a 34.76% increase in revenue, which translated to $1.46 billion compared to $885 million recorded in 2020. The University of Nairobi will play the host for the Resourceful Center located at the heart of the Kenyan capital, the Nairobi Central Business District CBD. The center is designed to build extensive multi- and interdisciplinary, incisive and cutting-edge perspectives on the US while availing opportunities to critically analyze topics such as the country's political diplomacy, internal dynamics, diaspora matters, while studying the consolidated US as a society, country, and its position as a world superpower.
We also want to use this center as a research center where we'll be able to research different aspects that pertains to Kenya-US relations.
The department has so far met key leaders in various arms of government led by National Assembly Speaker Moses Masika Wetangula, and is scheduled to have a meeting with the Nairobi County Governor Johnson Sakaja in efforts to solidify an existence framework so as to ensure the department is incorporated in the plans to run a campaign for Nairobi to host the Sister Cities International Annual Conference in 2024 after the Johannesburg Summit next year.
So this is a very important initiative because universities are supposed to be think tanks. We incubate ideas, and these ideas inform policy. So we want to actually talk to the governor of the Nairobi County, Honorable Sakaja, to come on board so that we can partner on how to push this agenda forward, because it will be very useful.
Kenya's strategic trade and investment partnership is an important pillar for US-Kenya relations.
Because one of the benefits that it will create enough awareness of Kenya as a country. One of the concerns that we have in international relations and diplomacy is how many people are aware of where Kenya is and what Kenya stands for. Today we know that Kenya is one of the non-permanent members of the United Nations. This is a very important qualification for Kenya as a country, and it gives us a clout.
In July 2015, former US President Barack Obama held talks with immediate former Kenya President Uhuru Kenyatta and other top officials with discussions centered on security, trade, health, and education, marking the two-day state visit in country and first ever by a US sitting president. In August 2018, President Donald Trump and Uhuru Kenyatta formally elevated the relationship to a strategic partnership and established a corresponding annual bilateral strategic dialogue. In November 2021, Secretary of State Antony Blinken traveled to Nairobi to conduct the second US-Kenya bilateral strategic dialogue. The annual dialogue prioritizes 5 pillars of engagement, namely economic prosperity, trade and investment, defensive cooperation, democracy, governance, civilian security, multilateral and regional issues alongside public health cooperation. The African Growth and Opportunity Act (AGOA) is a United States Trade Act enacted on May 18, 2000 as a Public Law 106 of the 200th Congress, which has since been renewed to 2025. The legislation significantly enhances market access to the US for qualifying sub-Saharan African countries based on a set of conditions contained in the AGOA legislation. Kenya is a leading AGOA implementer, with AGOA-related exports to the United States of more than $530 million in 2020. The US-Kenya bilateral trade totaled to $863 million in 2020, and the launch is set to follow steps as it's primed to boost the numbers even more. This is expected to solidify new opportunities presented under the African Continental Free Trade Area (ACFTA). Dr. Maluki says the commensurate support between the center and the department will make Kenya a world-class hub for academia.
However, it is also very surprising that if you ask an average person in the US where Kenya is, maybe you hear it is in Nigeria, it is in South Africa. So we are not known. So these are the kind of initiatives that we need to initiate so that we can actually increase the visibility and the voice of Kenya as a country. We are a member of the international community, and we stand very good standing in Africa, in East Africa, and therefore initiatives like the Center for Africa, for the Center for the Study of the United States of America, is going to place Kenya at a higher level where many people, not just in America, but all over the world, will learn about Kenya, what we stand for, our philosophy, our development plans, and therefore this is very useful for the country. Also, the department will be able to market Kenya in the global arena by creating enough awareness to the rest of the world. We have the requisite infrastructure and facilities to really make this a world-class center, which will be useful not only to Kenyans but also to Africans. We intend to have, like conference facilities where guests visiting Africa from Europe can come and engage with the Kenyan experts to get some briefing on what they would expect, whether it is on business, whether it is on tourism, whether it is on agriculture. We want to provide a data, repository where American companies and organizations can really benefit by visiting the center either virtually or physically. The University of Nairobi is seen as the appropriate institution to mother the department, bearing in mind of the Department of Diplomacy and International Studies, which has been in existence since 1970, arguably birthing around 80% of the Kenyan diplomats. The core business of the department will be aiding in research and academia materials and ensuring data collection is successful to service scholars and organizations seeking the resourceful information. We want to be an interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary center where if you can acquire data on information technology, you can acquire data on agricultural areas and field. So this is going to be a one-stop shop for anyone who wants to acquire knowledge, and research about United States of America. The university has partnered with White Waters Rand in South Africa with a similar program launched in March 2018 to offer digital diplomacy projects. Therefore, this is because of such initiatives. So at the University of Wits, there is a very vibrant Africa Center for the Study of the United States of America, and it has attracted, global interest from business to research, to investments, to technology and innovations, and this is exactly the way we want to go. So we are taking care of that. The launch of the African Center for the Study of the United States of America is said to be domiciled here at the University of Nairobi to steer Kenya to the higher ranking, ensure international relations and diplomacy is enhanced as a country, the first in the country and second in Africa. Stanley Lugaria, The Informer, uncovering the truth.